People who worked in restaurants, what was the worst customer that you had to deal with? I used to work in a bar that sold very old booze. A drunk man tried to impress his friends by chugging from a bottle of Amaro from the early 60s. He had to pay for the whole thing since his lips touched it and it was useless. Cost him around $800. Had he poured it into his mouth, would he have loopholed out of this? The scientific term is water falling. By the way, what did Ireland do to piss you off? They're hoarding all the best whiskey and sheep. Bastards. Barista here. Had a guy that regularly came in ordered a complicated drink. He always finished the order by asking for a finger swirl in the drink. If you gave him a confused look, he would say, "Well, how else am I gonna taste you?" He was the worst. Oh God, I had a similar dude when I was in college. Said to me to stick my finger into the beer bottle so he could taste something sweet. Tomato. Worked at a deli once. Guy asked for vagina ham on purpose and would say he liked the taste. Virginia ham. Worked in a popular restaurant for a while. We usually have quite a long wait. 30-40 minutes waits during dinner service, and people are told by the hosts about this. There was this lady that got fed up with the wait after 10 minutes. She stormed into the restaurant, stood next to a table of 4 people and literally asked them, "Are you guys done? We've been waiting for a long time now and would like to have the table if you guys are just chatting." Was completely mind-blown how people are able to not give a frick and pull something like this in public. What did the table say? Personally, I'd have ordered more food. We haven't even had dessert yet. You mean my second entree? Way back in the 80s, I worked in a restaurant that was a favorite of a celebrity chef of those days, Jeff Smith, the frugal gourmet. Never seen a bigger asshat than that guy. Literally make our servers cry. Nothing was ever right. He was beyond rude and condescending, yet he kept coming back. He had a reputation of being a jerk off camera. Eventually he was disgraced by being outed as a child predator and was quickly forgotten by all. Our restaurant was a good place. Another celebrity chef of the time, Graham Kerr, the galloping gourmet, was always a pleasure to have visit. In his day, Graham Kerr had the energy level of Gordon Ramsay, the health consciousness of Paula Deen, and the gleeful euphoria of a man well acquainted with ecstasy. He was fun to watch. The best part was always him sitting down to eat what had cooked. That rapt silence in the studio as he savors the plate, then the whispering approval when he eventually puts the forkful in his mouth and declares delicious. Our bar was having a private party. A drunk dude walks in and orders a drink. I knew he wasn't with the party based on his attire and that he came in every so often. I told him I couldn't get him a drink. He lost his mind, told me to frick off, and then wanted to fight me. On his way out, he yelled that we should put up signs. As he walked by the signs on the door saying we were closed for a private event, he came in the next day sober and apologized. Hey, at least he apologized, smiley face. I wonder if he saw the sign on his way out and couldn't stop thinking about how much of a douche he sounded. LOL. A homeless guy who came in, actively dripping of blood from his hands, and started screaming at me and threatening me because I wouldn't give him a bakery case item without him paying. He was dripping blood all over the counter and spitting everywhere until I threatened to call the cops. A huge group of clearly rich kids who came in, stole a bunch of drinks, and left the dining room trashed. A guy who demanded I take money from our tip jar to help him pay for his order and argued with me when I said no. People who would place large orders, or even take home a cake and eat half of it, then flip their and demand a refund when they'd find out it was all vegan. Even though that fact was well advertised. That first guy was a huge biohazard, and I absolutely would have called the cops and made my manager deal with him. For real, what the frick? As part of a restaurant's management that made me cringe hard. Work in a place that is frequented by local families and youth sports teams. On Sundays, this one large group of people always come in, and they are the worst. The parents drink and ignore their preteens who run around playing games in the entire restaurant, disrupting everyone else. They have tried to walk in a party of 45 during end-of-year sports party season when we are booked solid, and get mad that there isn't enough space for them. And they modify everything like crazy and leave zero in a tip. It's at least once a month the entire group comes in, and weekly for some of the individual families. This is the reason many restaurants have an automatic gratuity on parties above a certain size. One large party can steal a server's entire evening, and having them not tip is painful. We are a walk-up-to-order place, which makes the gratuity thing impossible. I worked at Friendly's in high school as a server, and this brings back so many painful memories. Worked my ass off all night once for a whole soccer team and parents who came in with no notice. Then at the end of the night they wanted everything split up. The kids were sitting at different tables, so trying to get the right kid's food to the right parent was near impossible. Not to mention some kids split meals or got specialty drinks and ice cream or appetizers. Some parents were trying to tell me what their kid ordered. Others were just saying whatever the blonde kid with a headband ordered, etc. It was impossible to work out what and who was supposed to be charged with it. Not to mention about half of them had coupons that they were all switching around with each other, some of which were expired, but they wanted used anyway, because they were spending so much money. A huge portion of the bill had to be comped, because no one would claim a bunch of items, and I didn't think to tell them before, and they couldn't split the bill 17 ways. After reprinting checks about 10 times, because God forbid someone pay an extra $2 on a milkshake they said their kid didn't order, even though you could look over at the table and see half the kids had milkshakes, I was in the back crying. My manager was yelling at me over what a fiasco this was and mad, because the kids had been drawing on the tables and throwing crayons at other customers over the partition. I finally come back out to hopefully get everyone change their swipe cards or whatever, and one of the dads had the audacity to tell me to not look so stressed out, it's just friendlies. Frick you, whoever that guy was. They then left me about a $15 tip in total for the 3-ish hours I waited on them, with a bill that was easily over $400. A lot of them tipped on the coupon price instead of the actual cost, and a lot of them just left whatever change was left over. I know it's only friendlies and I might have been young, but that doesn't make the job any easier. Frick those people. After a wedding reception ended at our facility, we were cleaning and I began the cleaning process on our espresso machine. The party was over almost a half hour already. The process takes 12 minutes. People were still there as the party slowly let out and the father of the bride asks me for an espresso. I told him I could get it to him, as we have a strict policy of always trying to satisfy a guest's needs, but the machine was cleaning and it would be done in about 10 minutes. He begins ranting about how much he paid for the wedding and stormed to our banquets manager and told him I refused to make it for him. Manager is at bag and starts ripping me in front of the guy. I show both of them that the machine is just finishing the cleaning process and it was impossible to make it before N. I got suspended for 2 weeks. Oof, hope you're out of there. Frick both of those turds. What dong heads. A customer ordered one of our daily specials and didn't like it. So, instead of complaining to me about the food and letting me offer something else, she complained to my manager about me. This was May of last year. In August of last year, turns out she was one of my college professors for the semester, teaching a management course. She recognized me the first day, but I played it off like I didn't know her. I had a similar experience. I served a couple once and we got along really well. No complaints about anything. I ran the guy's card and it declined. I told my manager, and when he went to talk to them, they told him that I was a horrible server and treated them like it. They left me a penny. I get customers like that too. I'll try every way I can to not have their card decline, whether it's wrist swiping or manually putting everything in. I get one regular customer and her card always declines, so I put it in manually, and she only leaves me 15 cents. Because I take too long processing the bill. Do you ever tell her why? That's some horseshit right there. I've told her a couple times, but she's a very old lady and said she only has it one card, and you could tell, because it's definitely a pretty old Discover card. My friend works at a restaurant. A vlogger was shooting a video, and since it was allowed within the place, nobody troubled her. Apparently she wanted one of those clickbait thumbnails. So, she asked my friend to place his face in her breast while she squirted ketchup on herself. My friend refused as he was in a relationship, but some other employee agreed to do so. After they shot the thumbnail, she marched in the next day claiming sexual assault. I don't know what happened after that, but it did not turn out good for the liar. I hate the vlogger already and I don't know them. They had me at the word vlogger. Seeing vloggers filming themselves in public makes me cringe. A place with lots of cameras and witnesses to verify that she was lying seems like a terrible place to attempt such dreadful acts. I waited tables for a few years in college, and the worst table that I ever had was a Catholic priest and some guy he was trying to hit up for donations. The whole meal he was very condescending and demanding. After everything was done, I left the check at the table. He ended up walking out stiffing me not just on the tip but on the entire check. He even stole the leather check holder thing. I reported this to my manager. A couple weeks later, this same guy comes in with about 20 members of his congregation. My manager told him he wasn't welcome in our restaurant after walking out on his previous tab in front of his whole party. They all ended up leaving to go elsewhere. Best manager I've ever had. Guess he never heard of the commandment thou shalt not die and dash. That's the Old Testament. In the New Testament, it's thou shalt not eat and yet. This one guy who basically hated his order so much that he waved me over and told me to put my hand out and proceeded to spit out entirely what was in his mouth into my hand, then tell me to refund him and then make him something else. Jesus, that seems pretty illegal. Hope he threw his nasty ass out. Spitting on people is illegal. It counts as assault. If you didn't immediately grind that food into his face and dump the plate on him, you're a better person than I. Also, happy cake day. I cannot imagine any other reaction than this. Add a little extra grind in fact. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button and leave a comment which story you liked the most. Subscribe and hit the bell notification for updates on our latest videos. And don't forget to check the links in the description box for more awesome content.